Attention Guilford County, are you ready for positive change in our schools? Introducing Bill Goebel, a true champion for our students, parents, and teachers. With years of experience and unwavering dedication, Bill Goebel is the leader we need on the school board. As a former board member at District 3, Bill is already making a difference, shaping policies that benefit our community. Vote for Bill Goebel for school board, and let's build a brighter future for Guilford County together. Paid for by the Citizens for Common Ground.
Coming up in this episode of Finding Common Ground.
There is a lot of shenanigans going on here in Summerfield. They're supposed to be transparent. So as soon as they're not transparent, it puts up a bunch of red flags.
What is it, Bill, to say, well, before this thing even starts, we're going to say they cheated. Before the game even starts, they cheated. That's why they won, because they cheated. And start planting all that negativity in the air. We're looking at an intersection. In one lane is Trump coming barreling down because he's running for his life. In the other lane is COVID, new vaccines coming in, barreling down. And then you have Robert F. Kennedy driving his hoopty coming barreling down.
There are two sides to every coin.
How do we deal with racial issues when they affect relationships?
Finding common ground on all those issues that we come against.
There's black and there's white.
And I think as Christians, we have to learn how to get together because we're not in heaven.
I've met more interesting people just by God just bringing them in.
Republicans and Democrats.
But a lot of times, when it comes to race and it comes to culture and it comes to perception, even as Christians, we don't always understand. We look at it through our lenses.
There's Bill.
I grew up in a suburb of Cleveland called Parma.
Any black people in Parma?
There was not one.
Not one black person,
Not
Bill?
one.
Come on,
Not
Bill.
one.
You got to have one. A
Nope.
token black person? A token?
And there's Odell.
I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, public housing, single mom, divorced single mom of 4 kids. And I came up through segregation and all that kind of stuff.
If a black person drove through the town, the police would stop and escort them out.
Bill and Odell are finding common ground.
A part of what we have to do is listen to each other, find the common ground, and question, not questioning you like you're on a witness stand, but questioning you for better understanding. Father God, we just want to come and say thank you for your grace and your mercy, God. Thank you for victory. Father, thank you for endurance. Thank you for perseverance. Thank you for my friend Bill, who has went through the lows and the highs and the good and the bad and the ugly. And now we're on the cusp of the election, and we're excited about the challenge to push this over the finish line. So God, we thank you for a spirit of not giving up, God, a spirit of being knocked down but getting back up, a spirit of it ain't over until it's over. So we thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the friendship and bringing Bev and Odell and their family into our lives. We thank you for that. Lord, thank you for the summit that we just had with actual people and people on the internet watching. We had over almost 400 people. Lord, we just thank you for the speakers and the folks that showed up and made it so special. Lord, I want to also thank you for the safety of driving our RV 5,000 miles around the country, and that there was no incident and everything went well. Lord, just thank you for all the blessings that you've given us. We don't deserve them, and we just thank you and are humbled by them. Thank you for the support you've given me for the campaign. Thank you for opening the doors for my campaign, Lord. It's only because of you that all this is happening. Amen.
Amen. Bill.
What you got, buddy?
There's so many things going on, but I definitely want to hear from what you're talking about. So I got some outrageous things, but I think, Bill, you might have the most outrageous, complex, layered, complicated situation that's dealing with the city of Summer. I just think you got it, Bill. I think you got it. So I'm a hold my mule, Bill. I'm a hold my mule, and you just go ahead and talk to us about what in the world is going on, Goebel.
Yeah.
What in the world is going on? Because I just don't understand it. We don't do that down the dirt roads of South Carolina.
Yeah, I just picked up the Northwest Observer, and I've got some ads in there and stuff that I do for my campaign, and they're educational ads, and I've been doing it for about a year and a half now. And but one of the headlines: Summerfield's legal bills climbing, but by how much? And they have, everybody resigned in that, so they have an interim town manager and finance director, and they haven't put together. All the bills haven't come in. But to give you some concept, in 2017 and 18, their legal bills were 41,000.
$41,000
Yeah.
for the whole year.
Yeah, and I think their budget is a little over 2 million. I think it's
Okay.
less than 3 million. And then in 2018, it more than doubled. It went up to 113,000. And for this year, they're budgeting 600,000. That's what they appropriated. It could go over that. And I'm thinking, okay, if you've got an annual budget of 3 million and you're spending $600,000 on lawyers,
Lawyers for what?
well, I guess it's because of all the legal battles they've had with the fellow who wanted to take 1,000 acres and have it taken away from Summerfield and give to Guilford County. And I guess it passed, so they had all kinds of legal bills trying to stop it. And then in recent months, the town has hired lawyers to represent Summerfield, and the NCAACP's inquiring into town zoning practice and negotiations related to former town manager Scott Whitaker's severance agreement. It also hired Hoffman as an town attorney at a rate of $375 an hour, which actually is a pretty good rate for a lawyer. And so they've got their hands full. And when you lawyer up, that's not good. That's not good.
Okay.
That goes downhill real quick.
Okay, so let me try to understand what you just stated. You said that it's up to $600,000 budgeted now for lawyer fees, so somebody's making some money. One of the situations was the NAACP had concerns about their practices, so the NAACP is suing them or something going on there.
Yeah, I think they're doing an inquiry to see if there was some shenanigans, and then if they find it, they'll probably sue.
So none of this 600,000 is part of a settlement with the state when the long hand of the law from Raleigh came in and just changed some things and
Annexed 1,000.
Right, but I never saw an attorney on TV. I saw the mayor. I saw other individuals talking. So was the attorneys in the back room counting money? What?
Well, they retained a law firm in Raleigh called Robinson, Bradshaw, and Hinshaw to explore town's legal rights after the state legislature vote in June to de-annex 1,000 acres. The town hasn't disclosed the hourly rate it will pay for that firm, but I suspect it's more than $375 an hour. Public records requested by Northwest Observer and residents seeking the amount of legal bills and other information. We're still waiting for a response. So there is a lot of shenanigans going on here in Summerfield. And,
Okay.
our good friend Tim Sessions.
What define shenanigans? I can't spell it. Define it for me so I know what we're talking about.
Well, they're supposed to be transparent,
Okay.
and they're not transparent. So as soon as they're not transparent, it puts up a bunch of red flags.
Got it. Okay.
It's
so
like if you were going to hire a new pastor, and you
yes.
brought him in to preach and everybody liked him, then the last minute the board said, we're going to rescind the offer, but didn't explain it.
Didn't that happen to a church?
Westover Church.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
And so,
All right.
and they, for some reason, I've talked to a couple of elders and they said, well, we don't think we'll ever be able to explain it. And we're just going to have to let it go away.
Okay. All right. I got it now. So help me, choir. We're all singing on the same hymnal here. So the town of Summerfield went and got an attorney, a law firm from Raleigh, North Carolina, to fight the godfather whose territory is Raleigh, Phil Berger, correct?
Pretty much.
So they went against Berger. So any firm in Raleigh is going to go against Phil Berger, and you're going to pay.
Guess
does
what's
this
gonna
make sense?
No, not at all. Not at all. And what's happened is the town council had a group of folks on there that got voted out, and they were very reasonable people.
Gotcha.
And a new group came in that said, you're doing it all wrong. We're going to show you how to do it.
Now, did they go into debt with the new group? You're doing it all wrong. We're going to get lawyers. We're going to spend money. We're going to show you how to do it. And how you do it goes from $30,000 a year to $600,000 a year, or from $100,000 a year, let's be fair, to $600,000 a year. And the last time I checked, Mr. Goebel, and I might be wrong, Phil Berger was the most powerful man in the state of North Carolina, including the governor. Is that the same Phil Berger they fighting against?
Yeah, they overrode the governor, I think, 30 or 40 times this past year because they had a super majority. And Phil is the kingpin. He's the guy. And he's done a lot of good things. I mean, he's brought in business, he's brought in jobs, he's helped a lot of people, and he supports his folks. But I think he's not afraid. He got a little burnt on the casino issue.
Yes.
Yeah, he was trying to put casinos in at the last minute in 3 cities of our counties in our state, and that kind of blew up a little bit. But we'll see. He's up for re-election. They redistricted his district so that it's pretty solid for him. And
who's the they?
The Republican Party.
The ones that he controls.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting a little dicey, yeah.
I mean,
and if you look at his war chest, he has somewhere between 1.2 and $2 million.
But he won't run for governor because he doesn't need to. He won't run for.
He's got more power than the governor now.
Exactly. And listen, I'm not mad with the citizens for doing it, but it's like, okay, guys, I get it. So when is enough? Or it's like, no, we're just going to keep getting attorneys. We're going to get attorneys. We're going to get attorneys. We're going to get attorneys and keep going from there. Where do they get their money from? Tax dollars?
Oh, yeah, tax dollars. Yeah. So it was interesting when Phil Berger gave money to Oak Ridge. He asked Oak Ridge, give me your wish list of what you want.
Right.
And he did it to Stokesdale.
Right.
He didn't do it to Summerfield.
And the last time I checked, Phil Berger controlled the budgeting process.
Pretty much.
Am I correct?
Pretty much, yeah. And Tim Sessions, they asked Tim, why do he was the mayor, still is, he's a friend of ours. They asked him, Tim, what happened? How come Phil didn't give you any money? And he goes, oh, I'm sure it was just an oversight.
Okay. Mr. Goebel, do you mind picking up what's the name of the newspaper again?
Northwest Observer.
And can you read, so to make sure we get this right, because the Northwest Observer, and who was the reporter who reported or wrote the story?
The reporter is Chris Burrett, Burritt. I know Chris. He's a good guy.
Okay, so what did Chris say again on the amounts?
In anticipation of higher legal bills, the council appropriated $600,000 for contract legal service this fiscal year, which started July 1. That's up $500,000 from last year when the council increased the original appropriation an additional $200,000, making it $300,000. Wow. So they're not afraid to spend money on lawyers, but this couch guy who has the land,
yeah,
he don't want to negotiate with those folks. He's got his deal done with Phil Berger. He doesn't have to negotiate. The only way I think he would come back to the table is now because he's in Guilford County. They're in Guilford County's the zoning.
So you think that the good citizens of Summerfield believe that is still a chance that this is not going to happen?
I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody over there, but I think that if you talk to the average Summerfield person, they're fed up with it.
Yeah.
It's like too much drama, and the people that voted in, the new people, I think, are now having buyer's remorse on this, saying, maybe we didn't do such a good thing voting these guys in. So they're going to have to put some candidates up to run against them.
When do you think this happens again? When is it?
2 years. They got their 2-year term, I'm pretty sure. So they just got in. So it's going to be another year.
Wow. Are any of these people who just got in your friend, your Facebook friend? You know them personally?
I met him when I was getting signatures, and one of them was pretty rude to me. It was a woman, and I remember going up to her and saying, introduce myself, and tried to explain it. She wouldn't hear anything about it. And I said, well, let me show you what I'm doing with Chief Justice Paul Newby,
Right.
who's considered a superstar in the Republican Party. And she says, I'll take what's Newby's, but I'm not touching anything of yours.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
but
And
she
then-
has to run again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
And she's going to have to explain this to the people,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. And then the new guy that came in, he's a loose cannon. Let me just put it that way.
Well, it's interesting that as an elected official or one who's running for office, we can come in and be a loose cannon or say anything we want to, which is fine. But now when we have a record that we run on,
Yeah.
and somebody going to look and say, well, the budget went up and everything else, do they understand that they have to run again?
Yeah. I think they're doing the right thing. I was listening driving back from Oak Ridge. I had my Lions Club meeting there, and the Lions Club's doing some phenomenal things in that area. And I was listening to the news about R.F. Kennedy going to support Trump, and they started playing clips of him saying horrible things about Trump.
Right.
And he's ruining democracy. He's ruining our space in the world, and that he's not a nice person. And now Trump's looking at making him Secretary of Health. And
if I could sing, it's a song called "Promise is Promise."
oh yeah, well, Mark Walker knows a little bit about that.
Well, Mark's my friend. Mark, speaking of Mark is a good dude. I like Mark. I used to pick at him, call him eye candy. And Mark, I was looking at something on TV the other day, and I saw Senator Ted Budd. And I remember when Mark was running for that race, and I was saying to myself, nothing against Senator Ted Budd. I said, but Mark could have been Senator, Mark Walker. And then I look and I see the ads on Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, and I said, Mark Walker probably could have been a good governor for the state of North Carolina. And I'm like, Trump has made promises to Mark Walker before, and Congressman Walker is just a good guy. And I'm like, man, why do you believe him?
Yeah.
But you know what, though? Then I have to be convicted of saying, wait a minute, Odell. If it's okay for Congressman Walker, why does it bother you so much? You know what I mean? It's almost
not
like
your business.
It's not my business.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mind your own doggone business,
Yeah.
Odell.
Yeah.
Mind your own business, Odell. But he's still my friend.
Yeah. Well,
And I can't stop for caring.
Well, you
Yeah.
hate seeing him take advantage of.
He's a
And
good
he
guy.
has been taken advantage of. And some of the things that you and I know about some of the backroom shenanigans that he has to endure with not only Ted Budd, but Trump and McConnell
Robinson?
and Robinson.
What's the new young, I want to say new kid, but he's not a kid, the young man who just won the 6th district that Mark was running for. What was it, Allison or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think he can hold a candle to Congressman Mark Walker. He can't even hold a candle to him.
He was a staff person for Congressman Budd.
Oh, come on.
He was a staff person.
Come on, man.
So, Bud's dad has a big PAC, and they put money behind him. And I think Bud has a connection with Trump. So they got the Trump card, and Trump called Walker, offered him a different job, said, if you drop out and I make a promise, you're going to get something. And so we'll see what happens.
So back to your point, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says he's suspending his presidential bid and doesn't want to help Harris. Rumor says that he went to the Trump campaign and said, let's make a deal.
Yeah, his ratings were dropping like a rock.
Right. And he went to the Harrison campaign and said, let's make a deal. And according to, I think I heard him say, the Harrison campaign wouldn't even talk to him. The Harris campaign wouldn't even talk to him.
Well, he's got a worm in his brain. I don't know if he'd want to talk to him.
Well, Trump talked to him.
He made a deal with them.
Well, I see Trump as the girl who you say, if she has to say, I love you, she'll say, I love you. but she don't really love you. So did Trump really make a deal with him, or did Trump put in?
Well, let me put it
We'll
this way.
see.
Let me put it this way. Robert Kennedy thinks he's got a deal. Okay.
So get in line on all the people who think they've had a deal with former President Trump. Robert Kennedy, get in line.
Hey, ask Rudy Giuliani. Huh? Where's he?
Ask Ben Carson.
Ben Carson. Yeah.
You know, Ben Carson,
He was good.
better than good. Ben Carson was the former United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. He was considered gifted hand. He was a world famous, what is it?
Neurosurgeon.
Neurosurgeon?
Yeah, he would do surgery on the brain.
Exactly, but you don't even think of Ben as a brain surgeon anymore.
No.
He got in line with Trump, and now you don't even think of it. And you know what? All this happened back in 2013, I think, at the National Prayer Breakfast. He said a real strong prayer critical of the policies of President Barack Obama, and people just said, hey, we love this guy, and they blew smoke up his behind, and here it is. Here we are. So we don't even think of Ben Carson as gifted hands, the great surgeon, none of that. None of that. We don't think of that. We just think of him with Trump, and he got COVID, and Trump, he got a shot, the vaccine, when other people didn't have access to it. And think about this. They say Trump has a new name now. He called Kamala, what do you call it? Comrade Kamala. And that came up in Asheboro, North Carolina. Out of all the places, Bill, right down the street, we go there all the time. That used to be my sales territory years ago when I was in trucking. You know, they said Trump touts his national security record and dubs Harris as Comrade Kamala during the Asheboro speech. We said that he would be fishing around trying to get a name, and everyone said, don't attack her personally. And Trump said, I don't care. I'm going to do what I do.
I know. He's not changing. He's not changing. And, you know, if he loses, he's already saying that the fix is in. They're already cheating. They're already cheating. Yeah. Already cheating. I'm thinking, the ballots haven't even been printed yet. How can we be cheating?
Oh, my God. So now I heard a rumor that Adam Kinzinger, former congressman from Illinois, and he's still a proud conservative, but now he's pulling for the Democrats. And I liked him. He reminded me so much of Mark Walker. You know, the way they were just straight shooters.
Yeah.
You remember Adam?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was one of the people on the January 6th committee when the few Republicans, him and Liz Cheney. Dory and I listened to Liz Cheney's book while we were driving out west. And I tell you, if you haven't listened to her, read her book, I would highly recommend it. I'm going to pull up here in my Google search what the name of it is. But she didn't come out ugly. She came out using facts. This is a fact. This happened. Here's the evidence. And so I think that the fact that she did that in such a unemotional and fact-based area, I really think it's something that people should, read it or listen to it, and you make your own thoughts up after you listen to it. It's called Oath and Honor by Liz Cheney, and it's a pretty interesting book from the standpoint of what she discovered in the investigation and what they've got people saying. I think that one of the reasons that Trump's running so hard is if he can become president, he can make all this stuff go away.
Yeah, if not, he's going to jail.
He's going to be, him and Giuliani will be sharing a bunk.
I mean, we laugh about it, but all jokes aside, Bill, think about it.
Yeah.
Former President Trump has so much on the line. And at one time, this race was over.
Yeah, he had won it.
He had it won.
Oh,
he had it won. Now the big mo came in. So just imagine this. You have the new COVID vaccine coming out next month. You have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think he was a vax denier.
Yeah, he
didn't
want vaccine.
And you had President Trump, all of them coming to the intersection. And usually an intersection is a four-way, or it might be a roundabout, but let's just say an intersection. So we know Trump is coming. We know Robert F. Kennedy's coming, and COVID is coming. So it leaves one open lane. What else do you think might be coming for this train wreck, Bill?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think it could be a couple things. Possibility. If you look at where the hot spots are in the world,
Mm-hmm.
the Middle East with Israel, Ukraine with Russia,
Mm-hmm.
and Taiwan with China. I think those are three big hot spots that could erupt. Also getting these rumblings that the economy is doing lousy and this is happening. I know that China's economy is hurting big time,
Right.
big time. We're doing pretty well, our consumer spending. But if you go past automobile dealers now, there's an awful lot of cars in the lots.
Yeah.
If you go past RV dealers, there's an awful lot of RVs sitting there. So I think some of this spending has stopped. And I was reading in the Wall Street Journal today that the Federal Reserve chair is saying he's definitely going to reduce the interest rates.
Well, I'm going to be building a new house soon. So
You better hope so.
So yeah, I mean, you think because they've been telling me high 6 for construction to perm loan, but then once you finish the construction, you have to renegotiate
Refinance,
whatever
yeah.
there. Yeah, from that perspective, you think it'll go down to 6.5 or lower?
Well, I think if you get a 10-year arm that is a balloon payment at the end,
Yeah.
if you get a 10-year arm, you can get the interest rate probably pulled down a little bit. And then in 10 years, go back and renegotiate. And by then, sometime between that 10-year period, it's going to drop back down.
That's great advice, sir.
Yep.
So we're looking at an intersection. In one lane is Trump coming barreling down because he's running for his life. In the other lane is COVID, new vaccines coming in, barreling down. And then you have Robert F. Kennedy driving his hoopty coming barreling down. In that last lane, you said it might be the economy, it might be interest rates, it might be the October surprise about a war or a hot spot breaking out. And it might be our old friend abortion coming down because no one's talking about abortion anymore. But I'm one who's been saying it for years. I believe abortion is going to be on the ballot. I believe, and this has been my mantra for a long time, no Biden, no Trump for 2024. Obviously, people paid me no attention. That's fine. My mantra, I've always said that I think that the Democratic Party takes the black vote for granted and the Republican Party ignores the black vote, and the black vote's caught between a political rock and a hard place. And if Odell had a magic political wand, Odell would say, okay, 50% of African Americans will stay Democrats because that's what we do. But I would say, now I would have another 15% Republicans and then the other 35% independents. So the Republicans and the independents can get together, and that's 50%. And then the other traditional 50% Democrats there. So that way, everybody would have to respect and ask for and solicit and earn the black vote. That's what I think is coming down that other lane, Bill. Or maybe, just maybe, it's not an intersection with the black vote. Maybe, just maybe, it's a roundabout.
Well, clearly Kamala has changed the dynamics. When we started, North Carolina was definitely red. Now it's a toss-up state.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that something? And they were analyzing. They said, well, what made it change so much? And they said, well, there's two things. Well, Kamala getting involved, and but they have a radical running for Republican governor that has said crazy things like he denied the Holocaust and all that stuff, and it's causing a lot of angst amongst the Republican Party because they don't want to get too close to him.
Wow.
And so what's Kamala's done is down ballot has helped the Democrats, and it's going to help me.
It's going to help you?
Yeah.
Well, let me say something. Let me read something what you said. Now, this is what I read about what you're saying. They said Mark Robinson's watch. They got this whole thing about his watch. It said, the guy says, I haven't been able to stop thinking about Mark Robinson's abortion ad. It may be the most disingenuous and ineffective political ad in the cycle. And this is what the gentleman goes on to say. He said, just 5 years ago, the real Mark Robinson said about excuse me, let me say this right because this is important. I want to make sure that I don't misquote anything because it's not my words, it's the words that showed up in the paper. It says, just 5 years ago, the real Mark Robinson said this about abortion. Everybody knows that abortion in this country is not about protecting the lives of mothers. Robinson screamed on Facebook. It's about convenience. It's about abortion on demand. That is exactly what it's about. It's about killing the child because you weren't responsible enough to keep your skirt down or your pants up and not get pregnant by your own choice because you felt like getting your groove thing on. And now, instead of taking care of the child, you want to kill that child so your life can go on. Being on easy street and you can keep running to the club every Friday night. Then the gentleman says, Robinson said these words in 2019, knowing that he and his wife had had a very difficult decision 2.5 decades earlier, and while he was calling for laws that would effectively ban abortion. And, you know, that's what you're talking about. So I wouldn't say, and I'm not contradicting you, but I wouldn't say he's a crazy. I think Mark Robinson got caught up in the red meat speeches and all this kind of good stuff because he's a very, very intelligent guy. Yeah. And I like the guy. I just don't like his stance and some of the words and the way he says it.
Yeah, he got ahead of himself. In fact, I can't remember who was talking to him, some seasoned politician, and gave Mark Robinson advice, don't get ahead of yourself. Mm. And Mark has gotten ahead of himself. He's gotten himself all pumped up because everybody's shown up at his rallies and they're big and they're loud and people want to hear this kind of stuff.
Why do you think they want to hear it, Bill? Because a black man talking about black folk or a black man saying what some white people want to hear said? What do you think is it? Because he's a very good orator.
But when he speaks, it's in an almost angry tone. Okay. And
I thought white people didn't like big, black, angry black eyes.
Well, I tell you, there's a bunch of angry people out there that are angry because we're giving too much money to foreigners. We're letting too many immigrants in. We're allowing this, we're allowing that. You know, they're just saying this country, we're going to take our country back. And, you know,
back from who? Back from who?
January 6th, from the liberals and from people.
So that's me.
Yeah.
So they're going to take the country back from me, Bill?
Well, you know, Mark Robinson had a meet and greet today at the Olympic Diner over in Colfax. That's where he's from. Okay. And I got an invite.
Okay. And I didn't get an invite, Bill. I didn't get an invite.
Well, I could have brought you as my guest. Okay. And so I decided I was going to look at the RSVP. So I hit RSVP and it comes up, you know, you fill out your name and all that stuff, which I didn't do. And, but it gave me the list of all the people that were attending.
They got to fix that. They don't want that to be getting out.
No. But so I started looking at the names.
Yes.
And like Alan Branson was going, he's a local guy here. There were about 4 or 5 names I recognized. How many people do you think were on the list?
A couple hundred?
20.
Are you serious?
Swear to God. That's what was on that list. 20 people saying to come. Now, granted, people could show up in that RSVP, but I don't think it's going to double.
I remember once I posted that Josh Stein, a long time ago, I went to one of his events and wasn't that many black people. So I took a picture and I posted on Facebook saying, hey, you know, I'm at Josh Stein rally, Houston. We got a problem. You know, ain't no black people here. My good friend Chris Meadows posted back. He barked back at me. There was a lot of black people at Mark Robinson's campaign.
Yeah.
Chris, did you go to Mark Robinson's campaign today?
I didn't see his name on
at Colfax. What's the name of the spot?
Olympic Diner.
Olympic Diner in Colfax. Was there any black people on that list?
I didn't list them by color, but I didn't see any like Odell's or.
No. Listen, I like Mark Robinson. I like him, but I'm not going on the list because that's the last thing I need is a picture, Blacks for Trump or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
But you said something.
Wear your new bling stuff.
I can, my new bling, my new
Prime time,
Colorado Buffalo The shade, you got me the shades, you got the shirt. Man, listen, I'm prime, baby. Black is back, baby. Black is back.
Those
You know?
sunglasses match the microphone.
I got to go. Listen, bling, 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 bling. Maybe I should go. What's the name of that diner?
Olympic Diner.
Yeah, I'm going to Olympic Diners with my shades on. Listen,
Shades and that shirt.
Exactly.
I don't think you'll get in the door.
Okay. Nah, Olympic Diners one thing about anybody, they take money.
Yeah.
They
It's
take
got
money.
decent food. I mean, it's a diner. It's a Greek diner.
You and I need to go there for breakfast, Bill.
Yeah.
Let me add another
we
thing.
can say, hey, we're here for the Mark Robinson event that was 2 weeks ago.
Hey. Yeah, exactly. Talking about that, one of the big things that's going on that happened, and people saw it, but I want to make sure they understood what they saw. The campaigns led their debate over what it means to be a real American. And this the Wall Street Journal talking about Trump and Vance has emphasized protecting American values from outside threats.
There you go.
While Harris is focused on the U.S. as a land of opportunity for all, including newcomers. So when you looked at did you get a chance, Bill? I know you were traveling, the Democrat convention. Did you get a chance to look at any of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I watched some of it.
Did you see all the red, white, and blue, and we're Americans?
Oh, a lot of American flags.
A lot of flags and everything else. So do the GOP say you all are not Americans?
I guess there was implication of that.
That's all I'll say. It's been a lot of emphasis on this new thing about North Carolina Elections Board rejects non-citizen voting arguments. I got a lot of friends on the GOP side, and this whole thing of anti-immigrant activists, they're drafting requiring bills for U.S. citizens proof so they can't vote. And I'm sitting there saying, I don't think a lot of people who are not citizens are voting. I know it's against the law to vote if you're not a citizen for federal elections, but I didn't know about state elections. I didn't think so, but I got some friends, and they're good people, but they are just all over this thing, and they just think that these non-citizens are voting like crazy, and they're all voting for Democrats. And I'm like, guys, where does this come from? And it's almost like a thought back to your point of saying, okay, they're cheating. What is it, Bill, to say, well, before this thing even starts, we're going to say they cheated. Before the game even starts, they cheated. That's why they won, because they cheated, and start planting all that negativity in the air.
Oh, yeah, it's already started. I mean, they're already saying that it's going to be rigged, and that they have the same problems they had last time. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out. I wish it wasn't close, but unfortunately, I think it's going to be close.
I'm glad it's close, because before it was a blowout. Trump beat Biden like he stole something.
Yeah.
But speaking of close, how's your campaign? Have you seen any advertisement from the two gentlemen who's running against you? Any endorsements? Any of that kind of jazz?
No, there's not much. There's an ad in the Northwest Observer that they just started for one of them, and it's a decent ad. I think it's a decent ad. And the other one hasn't done anything. I don't think he has any money to do it, but he'll pull some votes away from me. But I got to get out there and go door to door, and I'm starting that again next week. I was going to go today, but it was over 90 degrees.
Nah,
I don't think I need to be out there going door to door. People won't even open the door at that temperature.
It's interesting, Bill. How's your momentum? How's the Big Mo?
I feel pretty good. We got our first fundraiser tomorrow night. And so we're gonna see how that goes. I've got a lot of people that have sent money in because they can't attend, and right now about $4,000 has been sent in.
$4,000.
Yeah, pledged and sent in.
Pledged and sent in from people who say, "Hey, I can't make it, but here, I just want to make sure you know I'm with you."
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It feels good. It feels good. I had one guy I called and thanked him. And he said, and he's really wealthy. I mean, he could write big checks. And he said, you're the only campaign that I'm giving money to this year.
Wow. You're talking about presidential. You're talking about
everything.
Senate.
He gave money to Mark Walker, to Ted Budd,
Wow.
I mean, he's given lots of money.
He must be Republican
Yeah.
because you didn't say
Yeah.
any Democrat.
No, he's a strong Republican.
Okay.
And
Bill,
but
you're a Republican, right?
that's what they tell me. And he didn't even ask me about that. And I tell people I'm not a D. I'm not an R. I'm a K.
I know, but I'm just saying though, but if I cut you right now, you bleed Republican red, but they just didn't do you right, Bill. They just didn't do you right. They just didn't do you right.
Yeah.
And you would have been a good candidate, but the thing about it, you weren't their candidate.
That's exactly what this guy said. He said, I would love you to be a Republican, but they did you wrong.
Great minds.
Yeah.
Great minds.
That's what he said. Yeah. And it's a shame. No one likes to be rejected, but you have to have thick skin and say, it wasn't me. It was not me. So what you do is when that happens and they're bullies. I mean, one of my Republican opponents still tries to bully me. He did it the other day. And I saved it and I sent it to a friend of mine, and they go, you got to tell him to stop drinking and posting on Facebook.
Speaking of that, the Guilford County GOP, didn't they pick up a lawyer's bill? You talk about Summerfield. Did they pick up any lawyer bills for all the legal stuff, or they didn't?
No, they didn't. Not whatsoever. Didn't pay no legal bills.
Okay.
2 Republicans on the school board, and the guy who's on the school board took my place. They sued me and all the rest of the school board members, which happen to be Democrat.
Well, if they sued the school board and they were on the school board, weren't they suing themselves?
Well, kind of, sort of, but and the thing is, we're all worried about having enough money for the teachers and the kids, right?
No, they're not. If you're suing folks, you're not worried about the teachers.
No. So this is probably costing $80,000 in legal fees for the school system.
Okay. Well, how about they got their so the school system is paying their lawyer?
No. They wanted us to pay their lawyer. That was part of they won't settle. They wanted the settlement was that we admitted all wrongdoing and that we pay their lawyer.
Okay, but you all not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that.
So what's going on? They still have a bill.
Delay. So they have an issue to talk about.
Okay, but every delay and the lawyer does stuff. The lawyer sooner or later is gonna start saying the invoice.
Yep.
Voucher. Bill.
Yep.
And I don't mean you. I mean bill like past due, right?
Yeah. Well, Guilford County GOP did not give them any money. What they allowed them to do was use their list to solicit funds. To pay. And
they did a GoFundMe.
Yeah, they were trying to raise $15,000, and they raised $7,500, and they had a heck of a time. In fact, the guy that gave me $250,
yes,
he got a solicitation from him for money to come after me.
Wow!
And he ends up giving me $250 for my school board thing. And he didn't give them any money. So I find that kind of interesting.
What's the solicitation? I get solicitations all the time from both sides. And it's interesting. I must have made a donation to both sides, and I probably did. So I get stuff from former President Trump. We have to stop the liberals. I'm like, I'm a Democrat, right?
I get those.
Yeah. And then I get stuff from the Harris party. We have to stop the da. And I'm like, now, I have friends who are Republicans, right? Say that to myself. So it's like, it's not just we have to stop the party. I mean, they're naming people and everything else. And something I read the other day is talking about Harris' momentum continues as she ties with Trump and the swing states, Bill. So, the swing states and the momentum, and it talks about the message is one that was heard from many speakers at the Democratic convention last week. This is a close race. Don't get lazy. We have to just keep rolling with the whole swing states, and we have to keep working. That's the same thing you were saying about you. Don't trust the polls. Let's get out there and work, knock on doors. So, Bill, you have an article in the Northwest paper, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so if someone wants to see your article, how do they go about getting the paper again?
The Northwest Observer, it's called.
Okay.
And you got to be careful because there's a Northwest Observer that's in the Northwest of the United States.
Okay.
It's in like Washington State or Oregon. So this one, you just go to www.nsn, nwobserver.com. nwobserver.com.
And that's how you get it. And on what page, if they want to see it, what page is your article?
31.
Page 31.
Yeah, lucky 31. And my title is Guilford County Association of Educators endorses Bill Goebel. And my article's about why do I champion public education?
And what is your main statement in that?
I believe that educating our youth provides immense power to the United States of America. An educated youth provides workers, provides brain power, provides innovation, provides us with public servants, and makes great husbands and families when people are educated. And next time I'll bring it. Dory and I listened to John Adams' book that Dave McCullough, and he talked about John Adams was a big believer, and so were the founding fathers on education. And they felt education was the most important thing for a new country.
Wow.
Educating our people and our youth, and educating them on science, agriculture, arts, music, and even educating them how to have humor. Which is, so I'll get that. And it's still in the Massachusetts Constitution today.
Wow. All this time.
Yeah. And John Adams wrote it.
Wow. As we turn toward close, a couple things that you mentioned that I want to go back and revisit. You said that Harris campaign is helping so many people. The surge in North Carolina, the downstream political races, the Democrats are showing new strength in North Carolina now that Kamala Harris is the top of the presidential ticket, and that matters to other crucial races in the state. And you said even yours.
Yep.
So you're a Republican, and Kamala is going to help you as running as an independent. How does that help you? Because your district is composed of Republicans, Democrats, and independents.
38% unaffiliated.
Wow.
32% Republican, and 30% Democrat.
So how does Kamala help you now?
Well, because I'm a common sense politician, and I'm not a MAGNA politician. I'm not a radical liberal politician.
Gotcha.
I'm right in the middle of the road. And I think that's where the majority of the votes are going to be.
Are you all going to have a debate?
Or we're having a forum, I think September 17th. I may have that date wrong, with the Women's League.
What's a forum? Help me understand what that means.
They gave us the agenda. Basically, what they're going to do is they're going to be 35 to 40 minutes of questions, and we get to answer the question. We can't attack the other person. At least we're not supposed to. I'm not going to. You're going to be able to talk about, they're going to probably say, well, why are you running? They don't give you the questions ahead of time, but I'm sure that will be one of them. And how do you propose to help with underpaid teachers?
Right. You've been talking about that for years now.
Yeah. And what are you going to do with the bond? Is the bond big enough to solve our problems?
Right.
And how do you plan on funding things? And then they're going to probably talk about curriculum, which comes from the state, quite frankly. So I've got to get into that. I didn't get into it as much as I wanted when I was only there 5 months. That was on my list to do. So I'll get into it more when I'm on the school board. It's not a debate, but it's a forum. And one of the people is a retired auto mechanic instructor. And
one of the people who's running for
against me. And I challenged him to debate, and he refuses. And he says, I see no value in it. Wow. And I'm like, okay.
Not that he doesn't see any value in you as an individual and a human being. He sees no value in debating you.
Yeah.
How about the other individual?
The other Phil, I think, would. He has quite an ego. He's retired. He's from New Jersey. He's been here about 3 years, 4 years. He's my age. He's retired he was a lawyer for a school board in New Jersey. And I asked him, well, how big was the school?
Right. And why didn't he run up there?
$90 million was the school. That's nothing. We spend that in less than a day.
And what's the budget for Guilford County School System?
$1 billion with a B.
Wow.
And so, none of these guys have ever run a company. They've never run a staff. They've never had to make a P&L. They've never had to make a payroll.
Speaking of that, now that's powerful, because it's one thing when you put your signature on the back of the check and the front of the check. Yeah. That changes everything.
You got it. Yep. And so I'm going to point that out to him. And I've got about 6 points of difference that I have. For example, one of them was.
What do you want to do? You want to share all your points of difference here? Because how about if somebody take your answer, like copy your homework, and you're debating against yourself?
That's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Go for it, sir. Go for it.
Bring it. The one of the ads that my competitor has is he's 26 years an educator. 26 years as an educator, committed to success of students. Well, I've been an educator for 16 years and I'm still teaching. He's retired. I've been a Boy Scout leader for almost 18 years and I'm still a Boy Scout leader.
Right.
So I'm still doing things. We started a nonprofit, Dwayne and I have a worldwide podcast with one of my best friends.
Good looking black guy. I heard the rumor, the good looking black guy. It's interesting. You said the individual will not debate you. And I'm hearing rumors that Trump suggests he might skip ABC's debate with Harris. The former President Donald Trump suggested he might skip a September the 10th ABC News debate with Vice President Harris because he doesn't agree with the hosts and all this kind of stuff. And he said, I'm just not going to do it. It's back to your point. I find no value in debating her. Do you think that's going to stand or what?
No, he's going to debate her. If he walks away from her debating her, it's going to make him look like he's afraid of her, and he can't deal with that.
Well, how about
his ego?
Well, why don't you think the gentleman wants to debate you or won't debate you?
I think he's afraid.
Wow.
I think he's afraid of me. Well, I know he's afraid of me. There's no doubt about that. Just look at how he acts. And, when people do that, they're afraid of you.
Well, now one person you're going to have to compete with. They said Kamala Harris is buying up all the digital billboards in North Carolina.
I know.
And you're not buying them. They're being donated to you. So when people say, okay, Bill, I gave it to you, but Harris campaign want to pay me $1 zillion, sir, they think that North Carolina is in play. And I agree with them. I think the state is.
Well, maybe I had to change my billboard.
I don't know. But, it's interesting when you sit there and Trump is struggling to adapt to Harris, and the whole idea of, your competitors may be struggling to find a way to pin you down because they tried the legal way. That didn't work. Mm-hmm. They tried to bully you, according to you, through social media. That didn't work. What else did they try? Because sooner or later, when the forum comes, is it just the three of you all and some other individuals, or are they going to be dealing with all school board members?
No,
so it might be just 10 people.
Three of us,
wow.
District 3, and then there's 2 running in District 5, and they'll let them debate. They're going to do speakers forum for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then for District 3, and then 30 minutes for District 5.
Where would this be held?
It's at a church. I think it's First Presbyterian Church.
First Pres downtown?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it may look like it would be in the district itself. Okay, that's interesting.
It's League of Women Voters, 706 North Green Street. Yeah. First Presbyterian Church. Yep.
Have you ever dealt with the League of Women Voters before?
No.
I have.
No.
They're good.
Are they?
They're tough.
Yeah.
They're good. You just make sure you do your homework, and I know you'll be well prepared, but they're very nice, but no nonsense. They are no nonsense.
Well, they sent the rules.
Oh yeah, you better stick by the better stick by the rules. Who's the moderator? Did it say?
Didn't say. And they also you have to sign an affidavit, a consent authorization that that you're going to agree to follow this.
Yeah.
But also that they have the rights to, take photos and use that and stuff, which is fine.
Yeah. So Trump is having a hard time. We talked about, He's trying to write the narrative for vice president, and that's not working well for him. And now the thing is, he has to come up with a name for it. If you had to, and this is not a fair question, but I'm asking anyway, if you had to come up with a name for your opponents, what name you would come up with them, or just say, Odell, I choose to decline that question?
I do have names for him, but I declined the question.
Okay. Okay.
I've thought hard about that, and I figured, take a section out of Trump's playbook and give people names.
Okay.
So I will tell you off
the record. So Attorney General Josh Stein is getting some additional publicity. He's joined the lawsuit against the company, an antitrust lawsuit filed by the U.S. Department of Justice, alleging that the real estate software company RealPage violated antitrust laws. And they're just going, and now the RealPage guy said, hey, the attorney, back to attorneys, said, hey, let's just come to a good closure. Because they say that they were doing it by algorithm, jacking up everybody's rent. So every landlord who had their rent in there, the algorithm would just keep pushing the rent up some way. And,
wow.
Wow. And it's not just North Carolina, a couple more people. And then this another thing, Bill, the North Carolina Supreme Court ruling on Castle Doctrine split courts along partisan lines. And you know what the Castle Doctrine is like, hey, if somebody come on your land, you could shoot them or you could kill them, you could protect them. And it's a situation in Fayetteville where one neighbor came over to another person's house and knocked on the door to complain about something she said, and the person shot her.
Wow.
Shot her and left her permanently paralyzed. So they're saying, okay, what's going on with that?
Oh my gosh.
And one of the last things, Mr. Goebel, is the whole new vaccine. COVID-19 vaccines are on their way. The intersection is coming. That big 18-wheeler is filled with COVID vaccines. So Trump's going to have to deal with the vaccine. I guess Trump's like, COVID again? COVID again? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, Kennedy is like, COVID again? Come on, man. I thought I was through with COVID. Robert F. Kennedy. And that's just kind of where we are. So now the vaccine's showing up again. And Odell will be the first in line getting his vaccination with the new COVID. And I know people said, I ain't getting vaccinated. Bill, do you think about all the people who got killed, who died from COVID?
Yeah, there's a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people.
And the strain on the hospital systems and all this kind of stuff. So,
remember ventilators? They're going crazy because we didn't have enough ventilators.
Yes.
Who's going to get a ventilator and live, and who's not going to get one to die?
And we just don't think about it. But God has spared all of us who are speaking and all of us who are listening. We may, because I was thinking the other day, did I lose anyone close to me? And, I thank God that we didn't lose anyone who was close to us in our family because of COVID.
No, that's good. That's good. I know a couple people that died, but all of them had pre-existing conditions.
I have pre-existing conditions, Bill. I mean, a lot of people, my family has pre-existing conditions. My mother was in a nursing home, still is. Yeah. And
that was a hot nursing home.
Hotbed. And we went in there with masks on and afraid, but bound and determined we're going to go see our mother. So we forget about COVID, but it wasn't that long ago, and how it just kind of had us against each other. Just like, are you going to wear a mask? Are you not going to wear a mask? And just, that was a lot. This country, we've been through a lot in the last 10 years. In the last 5 years.
Yeah, we have. And, as you say, all this stuff that we've been through, and I don't want to talk about it. We'll talk about it next time because we're running out of time. But the Boy Scouts have been through a lot.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years.
How's the Scouts doing now?
Membership is down still. The local council's doing terrible. We got only 2,500 kids. When I was there, we were close to 8,000, and about
2,500, Bill.
Yeah, and about 1,000 volunteers.
We were on the board together.
I know. We had a lot, and so it's in a downward spiral here. So I think eventually what's going to happen is they're going to have to merge councils because you don't.
Whoa! Wait a minute. I know we don't have much time. but we used to have a conversation sitting at the boardroom where Greensboro was the big dog and Winston-Salem was coming over to merge with us.
Yeah, Winston-Salem was bigger than us now and growing.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that next time. I think that's a good subject.
All right, well, Mr. Goebel, you have the last word.
Okay.
I mean, hey,
Well,
I had
let
my
me tell you,
bling and everything.
We're going to have some guests on. Kenny Anderson, the basketball player, MVP basketball player.
I think he might have been better than me. I was good, but Kenny Anderson was he was All-American, all this professional
Georgia
NBA
Tech.
player.
Yeah, Georgia Tech.
Yeah. How was it
spoke-
meeting him?
He spoke at our summit and just blew the doors off. He was our lunchtime speaker. He gave his testimony about adverse childhood experiences and
Wow.
things he went through. And then Robbie Perkins, who's announced he's running for mayor, he's going to come on.
Whoa. Robbie's running for mayor?
Yeah, Robbie said he was running for mayor.
Robbie Perkins is running for mayor when Nancy Vaughn retires?
Yes, that's right. So he's gonna. He said he'd come on, so we're gonna get him on.
Robbie Perkins is running for mayor again when Nancy Vaughn retires?
Yep. And then we're gonna have Pastor Ed McKinney from Stokesdale United Methodist Church come and be part of it with us. He's a phenomenal pastor in a church up in Stokesdale. I've attended a number of times. He gives a phenomenal sermon. Has a great choir, music director, and he's got a great congregation.
Robbie Perkins is running for mayor when Nancy Vaughn retires?
Yes.
Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
Yeah. He probably told you. He's a good guy. Let's close. We're at 62 minutes, so we probably got to close.
Robbie Perkins is running for mayor, and the other young lady's running for mayor too.
Yeah, Mary Kay. Yeah, it's
gonna be the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be other people in the race.
Is Robbie Republican or Democrat? I think he's Republican, right?
I think he is. But it's the mayor's race is not. It's just you just run.
Nah, it's nonpartisan. That's what they say,
Yeah.
but everybody know.
Yeah.
Close us out, Mr. Goebel.
Well, it's going to be. We got a holiday coming up. I'm looking forward to catching up on some emails like you are. We got behind, and thanks. This has been a great podcast, and we'll get it on the air, and we'll put a couple more in the bank next week.
Hey, Prime baby. Prime baby. Black is back. Black is back with my shades on. Thanks, Bill. Love you.
Find Bill and Odell online at thecommonground.show. This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.
Attention men, here's an important new podcast you need to be listening to.
So this whole issue about prostate and prostate health and all the challenges that we're having with it, but no one's talking. So that's the reason why I started this podcast, so we can talk, so we can get understanding. I understand I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical individual. I'm just an ordinary, normal guy who had some issues to say, hey, let's talk about this thing.
P is for Prostate with Odell Cleveland. Download anytime where you get your podcasts. And join for the full podcast at www.patreon.com/Odell Cleveland.
Whether you're a big, medium, or small business, managing and growing the bottom line is important. Focus CFO brings the experience and financial acumen of a Fortune 100 Chief Financial Officer to your company at a fraction of the cost. P&L help, internal reporting processes, or any business transitions or events. Focus CFO will help you and your team have a CFO in your company's back pocket. Focus CFO. Learn more at focuscfo.com.